Hello, how's everybody doing tonight? This is Sandy from Ledoux Designs. Ready to get rolling here in just a minute. Let me zoom in just a little bit so you don't see the lights, so they're not a problem. Make sure we have us all lined up. All right, here we go. So tonight we are going to use this pattern paper that we have from the November release. It is the Let's Celebrate, which is why we're starting the party tonight. We're going to use, I think we're going to use this paper. And we're going to color on craft paper tonight. And then I chose card bases in all the colors that match the background. I haven't decided which one we're going to use yet, but we can decide that as we go. So this is what we're doing. So we'll definitely be stamping and coloring to match that. There we go. Okay, so I haven't picked my colors, so while we're waiting for people to join, we'll go ahead and stamp up our image, and then we will get started picking our colors and all the fun stuff we have to do. So I am going to use my Misty tonight because we are going to use this jammin' little gecko playing the drums. That is our plan tonight. The geckos and the drums. I don't really know why there's no one on here hanging out with us, but that's okay. We will just roll by ourselves. So we are going to color on craft paper tonight. And whenever you color on craft paper, you have to be really careful because some of the colors don't show up quite as well as they do when you're coloring on white paper. And I want this to be in a square. Hey, Cheryl. I'm doing great. How are you? So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the center so that we can cut it out in a like 3x3 square. I think he's crooked though, so I probably want to straighten him up. Yay! I'm so glad you're here. We haven't been on very long. You're not late. I really didn't start with a whole lot, but I think I'm going to actually just put this on the glass straight so that I can make sure I get it all lined up properly. And I kind of want it mid-page, so I'm going to just put it right there in the center. And then I'm tempted to use a different ink tonight. I wonder how it would look. Let's use the sand and see if it shows up. Sometimes they don't show up quite as well on the tan paper, but let's try it and see what happens. Desert sand. This is desert sand, so it's not black. And so it will give you like a no lines image, so you won't see those black lines around it when we're done. So we will have to color in the eyes black and the mouth, but the rest of it we should be okay. And actually we'll have to do this, the posts on the drums. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how that all works. We'll play around with it and we'll go from there. Don't worry, you'll be able to see it when I first stamp it, so it'll be fine. It's just that it won't show up real well for around the gecko. So you can see him in there. Oh. But when you color, he won't be as prominent. I'm going to stamp him twice around the edges where the drums are, because I really want those to show up enough once we start coloring. So I'm going to stamp it twice, although I wouldn't if I really didn't want you to see any of the lines. But we're going to do it twice just so it's dark enough for us to see it. And then maybe we won't have to actually redo these in black, but we'll see. So we'll test this out. This will be a test night. a play around test night. That's what we're going to do. All right. I'm going to clean this stamp because you guys know I don't like to leave them dirty. So I'm just going to clean it, but I'm not going to take it off of the Misty. So you don't have to wait for me to do that, but I do want to clean it up so it doesn't dry on there. All right. I'll put that away. We'll deal with that later. And now we have this cute little guy right here. Well, I definitely am going to need some. So the drums, I usually do the drums in like white. So here's where you can see it. I usually do this front part of the drum in white. And I usually do some of the other part in a similar light white. But we're going to do them in a tan color tonight since we're using this different ink. And then I was trying to look and see if I had something that would be really cute front and center in the middle of that drum. So maybe we'll put the star in there as a little symbol on there, or we could use the music notes, but I think I like the star better. So let's color it in, and then we'll decide if we want to do the star in the tan color or if we want to do it in black, or even if we want to do it in a different color, we'll be able to do that as well. Now, don't forget, there are 2 stamps in here, and we could actually do both so you can see how they work. But there's a solid color star, and then there's an open star. So we could do the center in one color and then stamp over it with that one in another color. So I'll show you how that works. Don't worry. I sure am glad you're here tonight, Cheryl, because it seems like everybody else is not. I don't know what the deal is lately with people not coming to hang out on the lives, because I may have to move it to a different platform and a different time if people aren't going to be able to make this time. So we'll see. I've got R12 and 11 for the tongue, because we definitely need to put a little bit of pink in there. Not sure if those will be dark enough, but we'll roll with it as we go. I think maybe for the drum, we'll go with E43 and 41. It should match pretty close to this. Yeah, I know, right? Where is everybody, Cheryl? Maybe, I don't know, it gets darker earlier, so you would think that I'll be ready to hang out, but I guess not. I'm going to use 25 and 23 on the drumsticks. There's going to be a lot of markers tonight, I have a feeling. And then, since these are going to be our colors, we just need to pick whatever colors we want the drum set to be. So maybe I'll go with like an orange tonight, like an orange color for the drum set. So I want to go with the YR09, 7, and 4, where I usually use YR18, but I'm going to switch so that it stands out a little bit more on the tan craft cardstock. Look, it's faded already. You can't see it as well. And then I'm going to use the W's instead of the C's for the symbols on there. So probably 5, 3, and 1 in the W column. And I'll probably do the frog in green, somewhat of this kind of green. Well, I actually drew him as a gecko, but you can do him in whatever you want. Maybe we won't do him in green since the package is in green. Maybe we'll do him in a different color. Like maybe we'll do him in a blue. That'd be kind of fun. Yeah, let's pick those blue colors right now. So I may have to test that. So I'm going to cut this paper just a little bit so I can practice swatching on the colors. Hi, Leslie. So I'm just going to trim off a little bit on each side for now so I can test colors on this craft paper before we get rolling, because I don't want to I don't want to get a color that doesn't look good on the craft paper. And I don't color on craft very often, so I just want to make sure it looks really good. So I'm going to start with some colors that are a little bit darker, like the B37. And then I think I'm going to switch over to a more, like a more of a teal blue than a regular blue. Hey, Pam. So we'll switch to that. And then I think we're going to go maybe back to blue. We'll try this one and see how it looks with it. So 24. And then if we need to, we'll end it. Maybe let's end it with the B52 because that's my favorite blue one. So let's see how that'll look on the craft. So the dark blue is really good. That's B37. And then B16. Yeah, that looks good together. And then B24. A little bit darker than I really want. And then B52. Yeah, so if we're going to use 52, we probably need a brighter one than 24. So let's change 24 for maybe B05. Let's see what B05 looks like. Yeah, that's better. I like that one. And then let's make sure B52 matches with 5. And it does, so we're good. So let's do them in those colors right there. And we'll double check our orange just to make sure. This is the YR09. This is the YR07. This is the YR04. And that's what color we're making the drums, so I don't think we need 4 colors. I think, yeah, hi, Barbara. Yes, they are starting to show up now. Okay, so that'll get us started, and if we need more colors than that, then we'll pull them in. But for now, let's go ahead and get started. So those of you who have popped in a little bit late tonight, we are using craft paper with Desert Sand Memento, which is this one right here, which gives you a little bit more of a no lines coloring look. What am I making tonight? Making a card like this. This is the kind of card we're making tonight. And we're going to use our, can you see them on there? We're going to use our gecko. And we're also going to see how do we use our star stamps. So there's 2 star stamps, which is, hey Jana, which is a solid star and an open star. So see how that'll just do the outline. And I'm going to show you how you can do them on top of each other like that. So you can get 2-tone stars. And we're going to use those tonight because I try to put these in a lot of the stamp sets so that you can use them. So I think in the previous stamp set was the Alice in Wonderland set. And they had hearts that do the same thing. And then I think before that, nope, that might have been the only one. Yeah. So I started with this one doing that. Now I did it with the stars. So you'll have hearts and stars. And I'll show you how they work. Because I'm not sure if everybody knew that they were intended for that. So we're going to do that. But first we got to color up our gecko right here. And if I zoom him in, that's like a tongue twister. You can see him just a little bit better. Don't worry, we'll color in some of that with a much darker color, like where his mouth is and stuff, so it'll stand out. But as we put in the colors, you'll see him come to life because he'll look like no lines coloring when we get done. So R12 is what I'm going to start at for the tongue. So I don't do this kind of coloring really often because I struggle with whether I like it or not. And some people like it a lot and some people don't. It just depends on your style. I like that solid black line that's usually around everything. But some people don't like that. So we're going to test this and let everyone see what it's like to do it with the line, without the lines. So This is the little tongue. And throughout the coloring of this, it's going to look a little bit funny, like unfinished, until we get to the very end. So be patient with it and just hang with me as we go along. So we decided that we were going to do the drum in this tan color. So I just want to make sure it's dark enough and I don't need a darker color. And it looks like it's pretty good. I want to try one more. I want to add the E40 to the 43 and 41 just to see if you can see it. Yeah, you can see those. So those are pretty good. That's what we're going to make the actual part of the drums in that tan color, because I just don't think it'll look as good with the gray. So inside, we'll start with that inside the drum area. So around here, we're going to go all the way around. And you have to be just a little bit more careful when you're doing no lines coloring, because remember, there's not going to be a solid black line that you can see when you get done. It also means if you go outside of the lines, you can make your own lines, and then no one will ever know the difference because there's not a line there that defines it. So it's kind of just whichever way you look at it. So these drums are behind. This is the drum in front. So I'm just going to put a little bit of extra at the bottom, extra shadow, a little bit of extra dark at the bottom. Just because there'll be a little more shadow on one side. And you can pick whichever side you want. In my world, it's going to be on the bottom. You can make your own world and choose where you want yours to be. And then I'm going to take this E41 and I'm going to do that same thing, but I'm going to go all the way around so I can extend these colors towards the center. Now remember, we talked a little bit earlier about putting a star, stamping a star in the center of this drum. And we can stamp that over top of the Copic coloring, so we don't have to worry about that. Another important thing to remember when you're coloring on craft paper is that it is going to look darker while it's wet. When it dries, it's going to look a lot lighter. So don't keep going and don't think that, oh no, this is going to be too dark, because it probably is not going to be dark enough. Just give it some time to dry. Craft paper is a little bit tricky. This is actually my last piece of craft paper that I have, so I'm not really sure where to get more craft paper anymore. I haven't had to buy it myself for a while. We used to sell it at the other company I worked for, or with, or owned, or however you want to portray that. And I've never bought it on the market. So I'm open for suggestions from anybody. Hey, Tammy. Happy to see you popping in. Okay. I feel like the 41 wasn't quite dark enough, and we have this little line right here. So we're going to go over this one more time just to soften that up. And notice that I'm coloring it from each direction so that it gets enough ink in there. All right, now that isn't the only part of the drum that you can see. You can see the underside of these two up here, so we need to make them in that tan color as well. So I'm just gonna build that in there. I'm using the very tip of the marker, so kind of hold it as upright as you can. And then on these bottom two drums, you can see it here. And I know that's really hard for you guys to see with the craft paper. So I can sit this aside so you can kind of see what I'm looking at. Let me move my stars so you can see it. So at the bottom here and at the top here is what I'm looking at on this. I'll put those stars there. Okay, now we're going to grab the E41 these ones are on the bottom, so they're going to remain a bit darker than that. So I'm not even going to use the 40 on these. I'm just going to use the 41 and finish them off. And then the top ones, I'm going to use just the 40. I'm going to put a second coat on here real quick to make sure that stays dark. This little guy, he's really detailed, but super easy to color. It was a lot more lines to draw than there is to color. I kind of did all that hard work for you. This is the E40. There we go. All right, now for the silver part that goes around, like see on this one, like around here, that silver part that you put around there, it's usually a bright silver, but that's going to be hard on the tan paper. So I'm going to use the W's, but I don't want to go too dark, so I'm going to test by working on these symbols first. At least I think that's what they're called, symbols. I'm going to start with W5 for the deep indented part right here. There's some down here. This is actually like, if you see the stamp, it's like an X kinda. And then this side, they're not actually touching. It's just, I'm gonna go along the outside of it. The bottom. It's a pretty dark color, so I don't want to do it too much. Again, it's easy to manipulate mistakes when you're using this craft paper because you can't see the mistakes. To the bottom side, bottom part of that symbol. So kind of starting to build in what that looks like. This, also want the bottom part of this to show that as well. So I'm going to start just the bottom and the bottom part of this one. I could see me using a multi-liner for the stand of the drums just so it really stands out. Well, we'll see. We'll just keep rolling and we'll figure it out as we go along. I'm not afraid. I'll just keep going. W3 is next. I'm going to move up a little bit more, and then I'm going to start expanding from where I put that lightest color. This way. Starting to build that in. I don't want to go all the way around. I have one more color to go. But I do want to put just a little bit more ink in there. I like to put a little bit more when I'm coloring on this craft paper. It's a little bit darker, so it takes a little bit of work. I see a lot of people do color pencil work on this kind of paper, and it's really cool. So, don't really see a whole lot of Copic users do it, but most of them use color pencils for it, which look really good on this, but we're going to do it anyway and see what happens. I'm feeling adventurous tonight, can you tell? So I decided I was going to do it. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's okay too. I kind of like these colors. I think that they're perfect, so I am going to use them for around the drums. I wasn't sure, but now I'm convinced. That's what I want to use them for. So this is W1. It's my last color. So I'm going to get that top part done, and then I'm going to start filling this in. I just don't want those to be too dark, you know, because they are symbols and they're usually silver, so I don't want them to be too dark. All right, and then I'm going to move down to this one. And then over to this one. Looks like I may need to come back in with that really dark color and make this separating line between these two because you kind of can't see it right now. So we'll come back in with the W5 and re-enhance this line right here. Notice that sometimes it doesn't show up, and that's because I'm technically not touching the paper. I'm trying to do it in such a light touch that I'm just kind of skimming the paper. You don't use craft paper. Not a lot of people do, but it's interesting to watch how the different colors show up. And I really don't do it that often, so you guys won't see me do it a lot on the live, but I do think it's fun to do it every now and then. So I want this part right here with the lines to really show up. So I'm gonna do the base part, and then I'm gonna do each little line I have in the drum area. So it's kind of like I'm tracing it out, even though you don't technically have to do that. I really want the drums to show out. And no line, I can't see it very well, so I use the dark. Yeah, it is a little bit harder to see, that is for sure. But you know, I haven't tried it yet, but I have seen that they have a new one on the market that when you stamp with it, you can see it better. But then after you're all done coloring, you heat it up and the lines disappear. I don't know what brand it is. I've been trying to find it since I saw a video on it, and then I heard about it, but I couldn't figure out who made it. So I haven't done that. So if somebody on here knows what that is, I would love to know what that is. So let me know if you know. Hold on, I'm gonna loosen this up because I feel like I might be pressing a button on my phone that's causing it to stutter a little bit. So there we go. Oof, come on. There we go. Okay, we also have these little pieces right here, which is the edge above where the drum area is. I think this is one of my favorites to color, because you can really make those drums pretty cool. So I'm just adding some lines in there. Notice I'm not using black, so it will blend with the colors I have, even though it looks like an outline right now. Hi, Beth. But it'll definitely look a bit different than what we're normally used to seeing. And you're right, Cheryl, it is a little bit harder to see. Especially if you don't have really bright lights on, it's definitely harder to see. So there's this little section right here, the little wire that attaches these two together, and then it goes down and holds them up over that drum. And then there's a little circle right here, like how it's attached to the drum. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and like put that light color in there for now, so we can move on to the next color, which is W3. And then I'm going to do like the more shadowed areas with this darker color. And then we'll move on to the W1. So I'm doing the outside, like towards the inside, the shadow on that side. The one in the middle kind of has a shadow on both sides. It's coming in both directions. There we go. Same thing on every one. So I'm doing the left side on these two, and then I'm doing the right side, these two, And then this one, just a little bit on that right side. But since it's up against the drum, I do a little bit on the left. Same thing here. This side, then this side, and both sides in the middle. There we go, that side. Okay. So that starts building in our drums. I don't know why I decided to do the drums first. And we could do this part silver, but I kind of like to make it the color of the drums. So the colors that I use here. Oh, I missed those little round circles right here. I'll finish off that circle with this W3. And then do like the underside of it a little bit too. Now we have W1 to finish it off. So I'm just going to blend all the way across. I'm not going to do it very much because I don't want it to all bleed together. I want to still see my dark lines. So just like this. Then we need to fill in just those little circles. And that kind of gets us the start off on our drums. All right, let's get some color in here so we can really see what we're doing. So we want orange drums, so let's go ahead and start that off. So we're going to use our YR09. So I'm going to start with what you can't really see right here. This is the edge of each one of those bottom drums. And then there's also this side of the drums. I know just looks like I'm outlining, but I'm going to do more shadowing. I just want to get those lines in there so you guys can see them while I'm working on it. So I'm going to start here underneath where the shadow would be. And kind of a little bit around here, since that drum is kind of shadowing the other. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I feel like I have to be a little bit more careful when I'm doing this no lines coloring, because if you make a mistake, you can really see it. So that makes me a little bit nervous about doing this, but I think we'll be okay. So I'm just kind of doing a little bit underneath the lip of that drum. I sort of bit off a bunch for this one, huh? I'm not going to go over that gray. I'm just going to go around it. I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Kind of the same, just on the opposite side. So pretty easy. How's everybody's week going so far? We're already to Tuesday. I know we still have a lot longer to go, but we already made it to Tuesday. So I seem to be doing okay with my brush strokes going both towards me and away from me, so that's kind of cool. It's a good night for coloring. Okay, and I also want to do the outside of this bottom drum. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the darkest along this line right here. It is likely that I may mess that up. Gotta have a really steady hand for that. But it's okay because we could just make it wider. So don't worry. You could also do this with a multi-liner, or you could just stamp in black if you're too nervous about this. It's just learning how to do it takes a little bit. I've learned, but I haven't done it in a while, so you can't really see it as well. It's not been bad. You've been doing your scrapbook for Christmas. Oh, I've been making a scrapbook too that I want to put the wedding pictures in the kids' wedding. When I get it all done, I'll show you guys. Okay, YR07. Just going to extend out from where I put those last colors and leave just a little bit for highlight. Not going to be a lot of highlight on this under because it's underneath, but we do want to have a little bit of shine. And then same thing on this side. You just want to make sure you don't go over those gray areas because it will be really obvious if you do. So you want to be a little bit careful with that. But you definitely want to get in those little cracks. Like, don't miss a spot. And then I'm going to work on this. Since this, it's technically not under the drums, but I am going to make it darker at the top and the bottom, and I will make it lighter on the sides. So if you hold your marker a little bit angled, you'll get exactly the width that you want on that little drum down there, and it'll make it a lot easier. So already starting to look pretty cool. You finished in order? Oh, that's right. I saw that on Facebook. Hey, Mom. And you finished a book finally. Huh. Awesome. Awesome. I'm working on retreat stuff, so I'm trying to do that in my spare time, if you will. What we're going to have and the agenda and all the information, and so I'm working on that, and I'm working on a scrapbook as well. So it's 49th and Market scrapbook. So if you guys know what that is, it's a kit. You just put it together based on the instructions they give you. I mean, I would say that sounds really easy, but it's extremely detailed, so it's not quite as easy or quick as I thought it would be. The stuff is very, very detailed. I can show you one page I have out so you'll get an idea of what I'm talking about, but it's not finished. This is the last page. I just threw the pieces on the page, so it's not really put together, but look at all the little tiny pieces. You got like all these little tiny pieces of flowers and and you just put it all together and make it a page, and there's like 12 pages. That's page 12. So I'm on the last one. It's just a long process. So you got a flu shot today? Yeah, I'll bet your arm hurts. I don't do them flu shots. I stay away from those. Okay, so we have our orange and our gray, and I like it, but I feel like there's too big a difference between the two grays we used up there. So I think we need to pull the W4. Since we went straight from W5 to W3, I think we need the 4. So I'm coming in with the 4, and I'm just going to extend out from where the 4 is, and then I'll grab our 3 again and soften it up and bring it all together. But I feel like it's just not quite enough on this paper. I feel like it needs just a little bit more. Just not enough. There we go. I think that'll be better. I think the bottoms of the drums are fine. I just feel like the symbols needed just a little bit more. Oh, use the dog stamp for the puppy album. How cute is that? I did when we first got our dachshund, she's gone now, but we got her from a place called Down Home Dachshunds in Mississippi. So, you know, we named her Missy. But I did an entire scrapbook of her. So I know what you mean. I did a scrapbook of her pictures while she was at Down Home Dachshunds before she came to stay with us, and yeah, I like that book. It's a sweet memory. And of course, you know, our other dog Jack, he made his debut in her album as well. Okay, we got a little bit of a lining issue right here. There we go. Gotta soften that up, make sure it goes straight. And then I'm going to go to that W1 again and just soften it all up. So over the whole thing. Remember, it's dark, but it'll get lighter as it dries. That's how you're never really sure that you're happy with those colors until they dry. That's why I wasn't sure about the symbols. I do like how this one came out though, so I'm going to leave that alone for now. Okay, we're going to do our little drumsticks with E25, and our drumsticks are right here. I know they're probably extremely hard to see on camera, but they are right here. They kind of look like that. So I sort of built them out. The other part that's down here, it's in their hand, so you can't really see it. So it's really just this part up here that you need to see. That's why this guy isn't very hard to color, because so much of him is already, it's just drawn out, you know. So I'll finish it off with E23. I want these drumsticks to stay pretty dark. There we go. One down, one to go. There we go. Okay, so those are our little drumsticks. Yeah, I heard them flu shots sort of like. I only did it one time a bunch of years ago, and I hated it, so I never did it again. I feel like the pink in his mouth is still pretty light, so I'm gonna do a little bit more on that. Just gonna add just a little bit more in here to give it just a teeny bit of brightness. You know, the fluorescence would work really good on getting stuff to show up on these, on this craft paper as well. There we go. Now when that dries, it'll look more pink, but right now looks kind of brown. That's all right. Okay, I'm going to work on our gecko, and he is going to be blue, not green. So he's green on here, but he's going to be blue on here. So we're going to do him in blue, because those geckos come in all colors. So you know, whenever I do skin, I always do the inside of the mouth with the darkest color. So that would be this one, B37. So I am going to go ahead and get that in there. I was going to use black, but I've changed my mind and decided to use the dark blue. So I'm just following the lines the way that they were by the artist. And then I'm just going to color in that whole piece right there. So there's that side, and then we're going to come over here because these are his little teeth. I'm not going to mess with that for now. If I need a line in there, I can do it with the multi-liner. So I'm just kind of building in this based off of what's on the paper. It's a little easier for me to see, so you'll be able to notice that when you color like this as well. You'll be able to see that you can do it a lot easier when you are looking at it up close and personal. So okay, we'll start on this leg down here. It's a little bit in shadow underneath that drum, so we want just a little bit of darkness right there. And I'm going to try to draw that line pretty close to the edge of that drum. Now his whole leg is here, so I'm going to put that, all of that up close to this drum. There's a little circle right there that's holding that drum on there. It's a little bit hard to see on here, but that's why I skipped a little spot on there. So I can leave that open for me to be doing that later. And then I want to put a little bit under the toes, just like there to be a little bit of darkness under the feet. And then the tail comes in here and meets up right by the leg. So I want that part of the leg to be, or that part of the tail to be darker. So I'm going to go ahead and color that in. Just right up against that leg. It's kind of like drawing it in, only you don't have to draw, you just trace what I put in there. Gonna extend just the bottom of the tail out a little bit more so you can see it. And this is the start of our little guy's leg. And then I'm gonna do the other side as well. So this leg goes all the way up to the drum. So that will definitely be dark. Then I'm gonna go alongside the drum, just like I did before. Now his leg comes out like a little bit far, but you can't really see that, so I'm just gonna color that in. I'm not gonna leave an open space there. So I'm okay with covering it up. Around the little toes, definitely want to get that in there. This little part right here. And then I'll leave the rest alone for the next color. And then this inside here is all going to be like the chest area. So I'm going to leave that because I want to make that a little bit lighter. Like almost like he's a two-tone gecko. But his little shoulders would be blue. And they can be really dark because they're right underneath him. So let's see, how do I want to do this? Which angle do I want to use? So we have here, right up over that drum. And I'm not going to go too far because, again, I want to use a lighter color in there. I touched the paper, unfortunately. And then over here is where his hands are. So I'm just going to get some shadow on that as well. There are a few little lines in here, like where his fingers meet up, but you don't really need to worry about that because it's such a tiny area, you can't really see the detail on it anyway, as long as you get around the symbol and you're fine. This one has where his hand is closed and then his thumb is there, so you want to make sure you get that. And then up underneath this symbol, all of that needs to be darker. Just like that. There we go. Now we have hands and we have legs, and now we have to work on the head. So I'm not going to do the definition on his eyes just yet, but I am going to start right here with the top of his head. So right here. And then this little part. I got a little bit bigger hump on that side, so I'm just going to add a little bit more on that side. I'm going to do a little bit like right here around where his cheeks are, just so we can kind of build that big smile, big grinning smile he's got going on. And then his little nose is like this. So I'm just going to go ahead and put those in there so we can see them. He's not really going to be that detailed because you can't see everything yet. Maybe if I hold it up, you'll be able to see it all a little bit better, but can you see the details in him? So we're just doing the lined parts for now, and we'll keep going. Next one is B16, and this one's going to go a little bit more to a teal color, so it matches this better. So I'm going to go down here and continue where I was on the leg, extending it down. This is a much lighter color, so this is going to be my outline color, because once I get lighter than this, it's just going to be highlight colors. And I kind of like this color, so not quite as dark as I originally thought it was going to be. So we're going to get some of that blue in there. I'm going to go ahead and put it in his feet. This foot. His tail is on his foot, so I'm going to extend from there. Keep going up his tail. There we go. I want a few little bends in his tail, so I'm going to put those with this darker color, so when we add the lighter color, it'll be better. You like it? It's looking good, huh? Gonna work on that little transition spot just a tad bit more. Then we're gonna come in over here, build in a little bit more. You get that knee going. Kind of want that knee to look a little bit like that. That's how you can see it on the stamp. It's just a little bit harder to see on this paper. Here we go. Around the toes like we did earlier. Get those toes filled in. Start working on the leg. It's got like a little bit of lines right there to signify that leg area. I like those colors. I feel like it's a big jump from that deep dark color to this one though, and I really didn't think it was going to be. It didn't look like it was when we sampled it out, but if we have to add another color later, we can. Okay, I'm going to fill in this part on his hands because all of that is in a shadow area. There's no light color on that. So we're just going to build that in. Really going to be looking at that detail all that much. Up close, personal. All right. Are you guys still with me? I don't know what happened, but we lost internet connection for a brief moment. Looks like it's added. Looks like it's come back up, but I can't see the video on my TV anymore, so I really need to know that you guys are still here. So if you can do a little comment to let me know. Yeah, that's not what that is. I would really appreciate it. I don't see any comments right now, so I'm not sure if you guys are here or not here. So I'm going to have to check on my computer. You are back. Okay, so Barbara can see me back. Let me pull up my... What the heck? It says, I must have lost my internet. I must have lost my internet because it is now saying it can't connect my computer. It can't connect my... So I've lost... I guess I lost my internet temporarily. Let me see if I can get it back on my computer so I can see your comments. So I can see if I lost anybody. All right. So I'm trying to pull it back up. All right, I'm going to move these so I can put the computer on my desk. I'm so sorry for this little interruption. This internet so rudely interrupted me. Although it was a bit sketchy, so I was a little bit worried about... not being able to see it on the TV. It kept like skipping and I was like, oh, I'm gonna lose the internet yet again tonight. I don't really know what's going on. It's not like my internet has changed, but I can't get the connection on my laptop. It's telling me that My Wi-Fi connection is broken. So I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to keep coloring a little bit since a couple of you said you were still here. I'm hoping that I still have you here. If not, hopefully we'll be able to download the internet, the video for YouTube. You know what? It might be Facebook, because I can get our website on my laptop, but I can't get Facebook. So it may have been them. I don't know. Frustrating. But I'm glad some of you are still here. Hopefully you're not missing this part if you've been watching it all along. I'd feel really bad if it messed up and you guys missed out, because we were such a good spot. Okay, I'm going to do under the eyes, so we can start building that in. He is going to need a little bit of definition to his mouth and a little bit of definition to his eyes when we get done. But we're not going to worry about that right now. We're just going to get this in here and then we'll go from there. Oh, look, it finally pulled up on my computer. I think it's Facebook thingy. Everyone is having this trouble. Oh, really? Oh, such a bummer. Wish I'd have known that ahead of time. Probably would have picked a different app to go live on. I'm clicking on the live right now. I hope the volume is off. Yeah, it is. So I should be able to see it going. There we go. All right. I can see it. Facebook did to a class I watched last night. Oh, yeah. If Facebook's going to be like that, what is wrong with them? Okay. So that pretty much does my B16. It seemed to be okay. Facebook seemed to be okay today when I was on it, but I wasn't on it very much today, so I don't really know how glitchy it was. Then this is B05. So I think I'm going to save the B52 and not use that one. I think I'm going to finish it off with this B05. I feel like the B02 is going to get too light for me, and I don't want that, so I think I'm going to finish it off with this B05. Maybe the tip of his tail I might do with the B52, but the B52 changes the color a bit. It goes into a deeper, more cloudy, more gray color. And I don't really want to go that dark, that sad color. I want to keep it happy and bright. Maybe I should have gone with the fluorescent color. I also think I lost some definition in this leg, so I may have to come back with the darkest color and add some more in, or maybe the color before this one. Okay, I'm going to go around the eyes real quick. So I need to be a little bit careful. There we go. Now we can color, so I don't want to color into the eyes because we're going to color them a different color. So I just need to go around the outside. You guys know how that goes. Around the outside, around the outside. There we go. I'll come down the center area right here. Across the top of his lip to blend that together. Don't want to do too much over that nose because I want those nostrils to stay put where I put them. It's cute. He's coming together nicely. I'm glad you guys are still here, even though you're kind of quiet tonight. Okay, so we're going to go around the bottom of his mouth where the tongue is. Just get that smoothed in a little bit. It's just disappointing when we lose the picture on the TV because My mother-in-law is still here and she's watching, and she was watching on the TV and then it just shut off and she was like, "Aw, now I can't see it." So that's disappointing, but there we go. Let's do the rest of the outline on this little tail here. Let's smooth that line out. I'll add some more here. Heck, we'll just finish it off with this color. Just don't feel like bringing in that other color right now. All right, so pretty happy with those colors, but I feel like I need just a little bit darker in those areas I put the shadow, and maybe a little bit more around this little knee. So there's like these little lines right here to show like the kneecap, if you will. So I'm just going to define those out just a little bit more so you can see it. It kind of bugs me that you can't. And then maybe the toes, like just a little bit more on the toes so that you can see them just a little bit better. Doesn't have to be real defined. I'm not really all that worried about that much detail on it, but I do want to put a little bit more of the shadow in there. he's so cute. All right, I'm gonna put just a little bit more on the top of his head too, because I want that to stand out just a little bit. I kind of like it that way. Maybe we'll add a tad under his eye. Help those eyes stand out a little bit more. So you see when I do this, like I went down a little bit further on his eye here than I really wanted to. So I need to kind of round that off a little bit. And I'm going to do that on this side, but I'm going to go in a little bit further since I did a little bit more on the other side. And I don't want it to look like one's eye is that much bigger than the other. So I had to adjust that just a little bit. Just glad that I can watch and craft for fun. It's you and this group that helps me relax. Yay! I'm so glad you're here. All right, so let's work on the eyes a little bit while we have this guy together. I'm gonna pull out my multi-liner. I'm gonna pull a couple of them. So I'm gonna pull that lead pen that I have, and then I'm gonna pull a very smaller brush. So this one is the 0.25, so that I can get the fine line and I can get a larger line. So if you look at these two, you can see one is significantly bigger than the other. So the tinier one is the one I want to do the eyes with. So this part right here is the outside of his eye, and this one right here is like the pupil area of his eye. And his eye kind of goes like, it's almost like an oval, like that. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So there's going to be a little bit that goes here. And remember, I'm using that really tiny multi-liner. So make sure when you do it, you have a small multi-liner to use. And then this will be the other part of his eye. Then there's some white. And I probably should put a little bit here so you can see the full definition of that eye. Looks a little funny now, but when we get that colored in, it'll look okay. I think I'll put a tad bit here for the little teeth, just so you can see the separation in teeth. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to see it. All right, now we're going to go for the bigger multi-liner. So I'm going to do the whole eye here. We'll add the white gel pen for the the highlight in the eye here in a minute. So that already makes that look better. And then I'm going to do maybe green in the eyes. I'm going to use a brighter green though, because I want it to really stand out. So I'm going to use YG17 for the darkest area, and I'm going to go just up around the top, just a little bit, around the bottom, just a little bit. And then I'm going to go straight into YG11, which is much, much brighter. Just like this. And I usually use that G00, but I don't think that's really going to help us in this case on this craft paper. So I'm going to come back in with the YG17, kind of deepen this up a little bit. So like 2 coats of this. And then I think I'm going to grab the fluorescent marker and we're going to try it and see if we can get a much brighter color with that. So this is the fluorescent FYG2. And then we'll finish it off with the YG11. Maybe just having a little bit of that fluorescent will make those eyes stand out just a tad bit more. But we'll see. Okay, now that big multi-liner that I pulled out, I am going to do the lines on him. I think I need to make this eye a little bit bigger so it matches the one on the other side. There we go. Now this line right here, and this one, and this leg and stuff is actually in front of him. So I'm just going to draw those back in. It's all the way in front of him. All the pieces are in front of him. So this one goes like that. It goes like this. And then there's like this little square that kind of holds all of that together. And then straight down here. And all the way down to the bottom. There's another one of these twisty things that holds the whole pole together. Then this one in front of. And then we're going to draw the stands that they kind of go at an angle like this. So they look like they're sitting on the ground. This one kind of goes like this. We'll color that in. This one goes like this. And as long as they're close, that's all that really matters. They're a little bit bigger than they would have been on the image that I drew, but as long as you get them in there, it doesn't really matter. Because all we really care about is making them consistent. So there we go. This one goes round, down, and straight across. I mean, he needs some big posts to hold that little guy together. And then I think for this, the wire, I think I will do that in black so it stands out a little bit more. And then this is alcohol friendly, so I'll do the rest of that blue right over top of it. So I'm going to pull out the B05 first. See how that goes. That That's great. I need a little bit darker, so I'm going to move to B16. There we go. Much better. Okay, so that has him going in a really good color. I think if we do our white gel pen now, if I can figure out what I do with it. I tell you, I should have 15 white gel pens in my craft room so I can find them when I want them. Now we have some cute little eyes going on there. So you can see how we generally do that. It looks like there's no lines on this little guy at all, except for the ones that I kind of did in blue and the eyes. So that's sort of the point of the no lines, so it doesn't look like there are any lines. I think what we're going to do is we are going to hand stamp the star in the middle of the drum so you guys can actually see what that looks like. And I think I'm going to use, I think I have this VersaFine Clair blue. Maybe we'll use blue. Of course, it's the last one I look at, which is this one. It's probably a little bit darker blue. I should probably test that out before I decide that's for sure what I want to do. And then I'll probably go around the outside with black. Let's try this up in the corner maybe. I don't know what I do with those little pieces of paper I had, and I don't feel like looking at them, so we're gonna, or looking for them, I guess I should say. This will give us an idea. I mean, I kind of like it. I'm looking to see if I have any other. I don't really have any colored inks, but I guess we're gonna have to go with this one because I don't have orange either. So I want this star to go upright like this. So I'm just gonna place it in there. I'm gonna press it with my finger. Then I'm gonna lift it up, and you can see the really cool star. So the star worked out really good. Now I'm gonna take that off. I'll clean it later. And I'm gonna put this one on there. And I'm going to grab my black VersaFine Clair. Nocturne, I guess is what it's called. And I'm gonna do the outline in black since we did the posts in black. So you can see through your stamp. So really what you want to do is you want to line this up just over top of your star. You could use your Misty if you want to be perfect, but I'm not that good, so here we go. And then you have the black outline around there. I guess it doesn't show up as well on this for you to see, but let's do it one more time on white so you can really see what it does. So I'm just going to put the star back on here and stamp it in blue. And I'm going to stamp once, and then I'm going to stamp off like this so you can see it a little bit lighter. There we go. Oh, I did it in black. Oh, well. I'll grab a green one, and we'll do a green one instead. That, you know, this is what happens when they mess up my internet, then it messes me all up all together so terribly. But here's a green one, okay? And then you take that outline one in black and you just line it up. Hopefully I'm still in camera. You just line it up with your previously stamped one. And then there you go. So you have the color that you want, and you didn't have to color it in. you could just use the stamps. So I just kind of wanted to show you how that works. It really wasn't that hard, and I did it by eyeballing it. I didn't even measure it or pay attention to it very closely, so you can do it too. I know you can. He's super cute. I'm going to make this card tonight, and I will give you the dimensions as we make it, because it is not, I've only made it one time, so I hope that I don't mess it up, but we'll see. I actually have the dimensions here, so we're going to use this. So we need a piece of paper that is 8.5 by 11, because we're going to cut a card base 6 3/4 to 5.5. And I'm going to grab, maybe I want to do that in, which color do I want to do that in? It's one of these colors. Ooh, maybe we'll do it in the green. Let's do it in the green. So I have to pull the green because I didn't have it pulled. So give me a second. I know exactly which color it is. Garden green. I just have to find it back here in my greens. There it is. I found it. It's my last one. It's my last garden green sheet of paper, so I hope we don't mess it up, because if we mess it up, we don't have another one. Okay, so we said cut it at 6 3/4. So let's see if I can zoom out a bit so you can see me a little bit better. So I'm going to cut this at 6 3/4. I need a bigger desk, I think. There we go. I want it to lay flat, otherwise it doesn't cut right. So 6 3/4 is right here. And then we need to cut that to 5.5. All right, and then we're gonna score on that. So right now, we'll just cut that for now. Then we need to cut another one, another piece at 4 by 3.5. Let's see if we can get that out of this. 4. All right. Let's see if we can get all this out of one piece of paper. 4 by 3.5. That's good. And then we need another one. Do we need another one? No, we don't. That's all we need. We just need those two pieces. We will need more solid color solid paper in a different color for a matting, but we're not there yet. We have to score these two sheets first. So I'm gonna score on the long side of this. So on the 6 3/4 side, I'm gonna score it at 4 1/4. So right here, 4 1/4. And that's the only one I need. And then I'm gonna pull this one out, and on the longer side, so on the 4-inch side, I'm gonna score it at 3.5. So 3.5 right there. So I just have a little 1/2-inch tab right there. And that's only 2 scoring you need to do. So not a lot, just a little bit. Now I'm going to grab my little trimmer, because the rest of it I think I can do with the little trimmer. Okay, so those are the base pieces. We have 2 base pieces. We have this one and this one. And now we need to cut our mats. So whatever this is going to be matted on. So we're going to use this paper. So I'm going to use some on the front and some on the back. But I want a different mat. I need a different mat for before I do the pattern paper, I need a matting. So I need one, I think I'm gonna do it, let's do it in a brighter colors. Like, let's do the pink. Does the pink look good? Or let's do the orange. Maybe we want to do the orange. I think we should do the orange. Okay, so for the mat, I need one that's 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So that's pretty easy. And then I need one that is 5 1/4 by 2 1/4. So 2 1/4. So just the skinny piece like this by 5 1/4. And then I don't need those pieces anymore. Just need these two that we talked about. And then let's do one more. I didn't do this on the original, but we're going to do it anyway right now. Let's do it in the pink one. So I'm going to need a piece of paper that is, let's see, 4 by 5 1/4. Oops, I want to do it this way because there's a mess up on the edge of that paper and I can just cut it off. Okay. Now we are going to need a white piece of paper to do the inside of our card. So this may already be cut to that. I'm not sure. No, that's at 4. So I really want that to be at 3 3/4. And then this one I want to be at 5. So I'm just going 1/4 of an inch smaller on each one of the sides because we're going to mat them on top of each other. So this one will go on top of the pink one like that. All right, let's grab our green sheets. We need our green sheets next. So that's these two. We're going to take this one. Where's my... Looking for my bone folder under all my markers. Okay, so we're going to take this one and we're going to fold this over and burnish it. And that gives us part of, kind of like a card, but we're, you know, missing some. Then this one is going to mat on top of here. Okay, so we can go ahead and put that one on there. That was going to happen eventually. All right, maybe that glue doesn't want me to use it, so we'll use this one instead. I pulled the pin off of my glue bottle. Anybody ever did that before? That's why I like these. I'm going to have Dale make some of these we can sell in the shops, so you won't be pulling that little pin out the top of your needle. All right, so I'm using my Barely Art glue because I love it so much. And I'm going to place this on here with that small border around both sides, all sides actually. I'm going to lay that down. I'm going to burnish that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this one and I want to fold on that score line. I'm going to burnish it. Doesn't matter which way you fold it, but it does matter which way you put this on because you want to be able to see this on the front. So you want to fold away from you and then put your paper on top. Anybody know where I'm going with this? Probably you do. If you're an avid crafter, you probably already can envision exactly what we're doing. But if not, stick around. We're almost done. This card is a super fast card, but it's a lot of fun. I like it because you can build pictures and images and whatever you want on top of it. Now let's hope this little guy will fit inside that block. So I want him to be a 3 by 3 because we did 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So I'm going to kind of just trim a little bit at a time so I can make sure that I get him the right size. So right now he's right about maybe almost 3 1/4 right now. And I just want him to be really close to the same amount away from him. So see how that one's a little bit closer? If I flip this one around, I probably should have cut it before I stamped him, but I didn't have time because it was 8 o'clock. All right, now we need this one to be 3 by 3 as well. So again, I'm going to leave a little bit of space so I can make sure I get him, you know, exactly where I want him. That was a pretty good guess. I like that. So that kind of gets him ready. All right, and he's going to fit on top of this one. Just like that. I'm not going to put him on yet because I haven't attached it to my card yet. But we're going to open this side. We're going to fold this over. And this is going to get attached right here to the front part of this card. Right here like that. Okay? We're going to cover that up with the paper. If you put it on the back, you'll be able to see it on the back. And we don't want to see it. So I just fold it over and attach it to the front. And then we'll put our inside paper on top of it and you won't even see it. So when you make this card, you can choose. You can put it up here. You can put it down here. You can put it wherever you want. I'm going to put this one a little bit lower so there's less room down here. About right there, like that. So I'm going to glue here, and you can use double-sided sticky tape, or you can just use your Barely Art glue. It's really strong and it will hold it enough. So I'm going to place that where I want, and the way that I double check that to make sure that it is lined up with the side of my card is I hold it up right like this, and then I press down on both pieces so the table straightens it out for me. Once I get it where I want, then I will use this. I will open it up. And I will do this just to make sure I have a really good hold on my card right there. Now inside, that is where these two pieces are going to go. Right inside here. So this is where we're going to put our sentiment. And you can put whatever you want in there. I haven't decided, so I'm going to leave it blank for now. But you can certainly stamp on it before you put it in there if you want. Just remember that a couple of areas of the white are going to show. So if you don't want it to show on the front of the card, then you would have to make this white piece smaller. And what I mean by that is if you made it the size that goes right here, so 2 3/4 or 3, you could make it the white piece that big, and then you wouldn't see the white, you would only see the pink. So your choice on how you want to do that, but that's the way I did mine. And then I'm going to, you love flip-flap cards. They're fun, and I like that you can move around the flap wherever you want. And I'll show you, I've been making a bunch of these just for funsies. Last night I made a bunch of different ones, and I played around with different dimensions and different sizes, and some worked and some were epic fails and I had to throw them away. But sometimes I play around with them until I get what I want. Now you could put stuff on the inside here, and we might do that, but first let's take care of the outside and then we can decide what we want to do from there. It doesn't stay shut right now, but it will when we're done. Okay, so now I need 2 patterned pieces. Normally you'd put a pattern here and you'd put a pattern here. But since we are going to put our little guy here, and I don't really want to cut him down anymore, he's not going to get a pattern piece underneath him. But this one is. So I was thinking, would it look good with this? Probably look, I don't know. Which one looks better? I can't decide. I kind of like this one. I'll let you see them both real quick and you can decide what you think. Oh yeah, no doubt. It needs to be this one. There's no questions asked on that one. It definitely needs to be that one. Which is good because then I can use this paper for something else too. So I think I'm going to try to get, I think I should try to get this side because it has blue and pink on it. And this measurement needs to be 2 by 5. So I'm going to actually put it in here on this side so I can have that 2-inch side. So that's 2. And I'm going to cut off the bottom because I really want the streamers on there. 2 by 5. And then if you wanted, this one is 3 by 3, which you know because we cut that already. This one goes right here. So you have some really fancy colors on there. I had every intentions of putting this paper behind him, but I didn't want you guys to have to sit there and watch me fussy cut all those different areas around the drums. So I didn't torture you like that tonight. There we go. So this is the way that the card folds, and this piece goes on top. And if we wanted to, we could put a star up here in the corner. I think that would be really cute. Then you open it up and you see the sentiments inside. But see how there's nothing on the inside? So maybe we should just do this on the inside as well. I wonder if we'd have enough paper. Probably not. I bet we wouldn't have enough paper to do that. Let me see if I have any scraps that are the same thing. I don't think I do. Nope. Wrong papers. That's okay. I don't mind cutting up another paper. I had 2 out anyway. All right, so let's put this one on this square right here. So remember I said for the front of this is 3/4 by 3/4. 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. So that's what we need with this. So I need this to be, I want it to be this side. So 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. And that will give us this. So that'll make it really cute on the inside, I think. And then on this side, we need it to be 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to use the other side of the paper. So my ribbons will be the other colors. So 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. These are the same sizes as the matte size for the one on the front, but we're not matting it on the inside. But look at how cool that looks. I really like that. So we're going to stick that on there. And you could have done it this way, but I just love these streamers. I love this streamer part of this card. Not that I don't love the back. I love the back too, but I don't know, it's so hard. I like all the papers, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made them. So there we go. And then this one, I mean, look at how cool that is too. If we were making a different card and it wasn't a birthday-ish card, then I probably would be using the other one. But I like this one, so here we go. Move over, little gecko. We want to get our card on just right. Move it just a tad so I can straighten it up. All right, and then we can close this up. And you don't have to put that much matting. It's up to you. I think I might even try to cut him down a little bit so I can put some blue behind him. I wonder if that would work. Let me see. I have an extra piece right here. Let's see if it fits. Maybe I could do it like, maybe I could just put it behind him a little bit. I bet I could. And I kind of like it with the orange on the bottom. So let's just use this one piece that we have left over. And we know that that piece at the bottom was 3 1/4. So let's do like an 1/8 instead. 3 1/8. That makes it just slightly smaller. And so it'll still be a mat on here. And it'll still be a mat for him. It'll just be a really tiny mat. See, I think that helps. I really like that. Let's do it. Ooh, maybe I like this one better. Let me look. I can't decide. I'm indecisive tonight. Nope, I like the other one better. All right, I'm rolling with it. You like this paper? I really like this paper too. I'm really surprised that people haven't gone as nuts over this one as they did the last month. Because I would have thought this one would have been a much bigger hit. Just because it's used for so many different things. That I really thought it would have been a bigger hit. Now, don't forget, we are going to have a Black Friday sale, but it is not going to, it's going to be next week, and it's not going to include this release. Everything else, not this release, and not the Barely Art glue, because we have limits on how much we can charge for those, and we already added the discount for normal purchasing. So we can't make it less. There's rules when you're selling someone else's stuff, which is why I don't sell anyone else's stuff except Barely Art glue. Because believe me, I ain't no chemist. I can't make any glue. I just buy this glue and I'm happy. But it's coming. That big sale will be coming. So if you haven't picked up this set, you can pick it up when you do your bargain shopping. Because our stuff is already priced at a great price. So once we add a discount to it, it's gonna be like you won the lottery at the Ledoux Design store. Look how cute that is. Oh my goodness. And they didn't even put any sentiments on it, and it's so cute. It doesn't even need any. I'm glad you like this paper, Beth. Thank you so much for saying that. What did I do with that? Oh, here it is. I was like, should we look and see if there's a sentiment we want on there? I mean, we for sure want rockin' birthday, but, oh, you could even put sentiments up here and then just write your little note inside. That would be cool. Let's see. Have a rockin'. That's what we want to say. I mean, we got to say rockin'. I love that sentiment. So, let me see. Where is my stamp set? Well, you guys, I have officially lost the stamp set on my desk. Okay, give me just a minute. I bet I can find it. Well, it has to be here somewhere. Oh my goodness. Okay, it's not there. It's not there. All right, maybe I can't do it. Maybe we'll have to do sentiments later. I have no idea what I did with the stamp set. That's what I need. Oh, I found it. That's what I need, is somebody to sit around my desk and pick up all the crap that I can't find and say, oh, here it is. So I like these sentiments a lot. What if we said, have a, stop sticking to my fingers, have a rockin', this little guy could sit right here. I hate that they stick to my fingers. Anybody know a trick to that? Get them to not stick to your fingers? Because I would love a little cheat sheet to that. See how they stick to my fingers? They drive me crazy. I can't set anything down to see what I think it looks like because it sticks to my fingers. There we go. Have a rockin'. And then birthday, I bet will fit down here. See? Awesome. See, we can do that. I think that's what we, and I could put rockin' underneath on here and it'd be perfect. So let's pull our stars off, even though they're dirty and gross and not cleaned up yet. And then we'll grab our VersaFine Clair so we can stamp these words. The first one will be have a. Ooh, you know what I just saw is some ink on this block. Okay, there we go. So we'll say have a, and I am going to open this up when I stamp it so I don't mess it up. Have a. I'm going to put birthday on here at the bottom. Like, I love this circle. This is from the Sassy Club, and I love this circle thing. It's so easy to hold. And I can put so many stamps on it at one time. It's just easy to hold in your hand. So there's have a birthday. And then I'm going to just wipe this. Then I just flip it over and use right here. I'll lay this out. There's my rockin'. And I'm going to stamp rockin' twice. Once on the outside of the card. So once right here like this. There we go. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to put it on the inside just so when you open it up, it still says have a rockin' birthday and not just have a birthday. Have a birthday would sound silly. So you won't be able to see that rockin' from the front of the card, but you will be able to see it when you open it up. And it just makes sense that way. I just like it that way. This card is so adorable. Yay! And you get paid Friday. Woohoo! That works out perfectly, doesn't it? I think that's when I'm going to make the sale effective, I think on Friday, so you guys have the weekend. Okay, here we go. This is what we have. Oh, so cute. You can add bling and everything if you want, but this is No Lines Coloring of the gecko playing the drums, having a rockin' birthday, and you can see the cards and a celebration. You can add more to the inside. Like, I think I might do stars down this side, and then I can write in the middle. But I really like this. I really, this is so cute. Isn't this cute? I mean, this is cuter than this one, and I thought this one was cute last night. This is the one I made last night. So I had a little seahorse, and you can fold them the other way if you want, but it covers up the seahorse. That's the one I made last night, and then today we made it like this, and oh my gosh, it's so cute. And here's a couple of the other sample ones if you want to see. I made this one last night, so you'll be seeing this one in the future, because I like it so much. I also made this last night. I'm not really sure how many times I'll be making this because it was a pain, but it worked. Oh, it's upside down. There you go. So, look. You stand it up and you have all these panels to decorate. So, we could certainly do that sometime. It wasn't hard, but I do have dies from Karen Burniston that does a similar thing that is a lot easier than that, cutting that. And then I made this one. So when you open it up, it has a really pretty picture, and then you open it again. So you'll be seeing that one in the future. And then I made this one, but I don't like it, so you probably won't be seeing that one in the future. I made this one. It kind of opens up like this, which I thought was kind of cute. So you'll probably see that one. And then this one was one of my favorites from last night, so you'll probably see this one as well. And you know, whenever I show them to you, I always give you like the measurements and stuff. So know that there will be some cards made with the measurements coming up. So be ready for new stuff and fun stuff. But this one, for sure, you got to try it. I'm going to upload to YouTube, and you should check it out if you didn't catch the measurements while we did it. Or I can write them up, I guess. If you need them, you can just contact me and let me know. But you can definitely watch YouTube and catch the measurements because I gave them as we were doing it. And then make sure that you subscribe to our channel and comment if you have any questions or concerns while you're on YouTube, for sure. Or you can comment here. Remember, they only keep this in Facebook for 30 days and then they automatically delete it, but it'll stay on YouTube forever. So there you go. That is, I like decorating the center of the drum. I really like how that worked out. That was the plan in my head, but I wasn't 100% sure it was going to work because you never know how big they are going to be when they come in stamp form, but it worked out exactly the way I planned, so I'm super happy about that. So anyway, I hope you guys had a great evening. I'm sorry about the little bit of fudginess in the middle of it with the internet and the YouTube, Facebook, and whatever the problem was, but join me again on Thursday and we'll do something else. And this time, I think on Thursday, we're going to do flashback and we'll go back and do something else that you haven't seen in a long time and not the new release, just to give you a little bit of variety because we don't want to do the same one all the time. So I'll be mixing it up with a flashback Thursday. Throwback Thursday. That's what we should call it. Throwback Thursday. So definitely come join us on Thursday and see what we're going to do. And I will see you guys on Thursday night. Thank you for sticking around. Love you guys. See you later. Bye.